ladies and gentlemen. We're here today. This is the
Here
good
we
old.
go.
This is the pond crossover.
The
The,
cross-Atlantic content.
yeah, we got the number one American and the number one Brit. How we doing?
That's true, yeah. How's it going?
But rulers of our territory. Uh,
I hope we
doing.
keep that up next season. But before we do,
Yeah, I mean the big. This is a little bit of a weird one, but Josh approached me with it earlier today, so it's like we got to do it. This is a.
I think it was when we were going through trying to sort out the tiering for next season, and I thought, wait, hold on, what hasn't been drafted yet? And I figured, who better to ask than you?
Yeah. I would be. I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I can pretty much name a lot of the teams just off the back of my hand, just because a lot of time I've put into this behind the scenes. But yeah, um, this is every Pokemon that has yet to be drafted. Um, we did include the newly unbanned ones, but that's just kind of so we can talk about them a little bit. But yeah, I guess with this many Pokemon, I guess we should just kind of get right on into it.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna rank it kind of in terms of
Yeah. So what do we want to name
how much
these?
value. Cool.
All right. So
S is gonna be like round one.
should it be round one or should it be just like this will be drafted?
Yeah, okay, this will be drafted.
We'll do will be drafted, likely to go, maybe, eh, and like
And like
no one cares.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of rank it. Do we think it's gonna be drafted? Do we think it could have potential
Right.
on a draft team? A lot of these ones, I think terror is gonna be a big thing to talk about for a lot of these Pokemon as well.
Yeah.
Looking at some of them.
All right. Let's get
So
let's get into
let's
the original Golden Go Aegislash.
you got Ghost Steel, you've got that ability, you've got. I'm surprised. What is it? It's a tier one, isn't it?
It's tier one.
It's
I-
definitely not as broken as it used to be.
Yeah. I remember
But
when we started
I
season
think-
one. Preston, we said like, just to clarify the rules, just make it easy. We say any Ubers not in the tiering, they're banned. And Preston was like, well, what about Aegislash? So we made the exception on him season one, and even with Preston making that note, still 3 seasons later, has never been drafted.
Yeah, I don't think it will be like a immediate pick. I think if it goes, it'd be like a round 2 or 3. But I don't. I'd maybe go likely to go for this one.
Yeah, I can see it going, but again, now if Golden Go never came out, I would say this probably will be drafted. But because Golden Go's existence, it's just like
Yeah, I think you go. I think you'd go for Golden Go first. But I think they are kind of different. Like Aegislash has got the physical side and the special side. They've got the same types and everything, but they play slightly different roles.
Aegislash is more. I would say Aegislash is more moldable because you can be like a stall set with like Toxic and King Shield, or you can be more offensive, like you said, it can be physical or special. Golden Go, you kind of know what it's gonna do. It's gonna like make it rain and Shadow Ball, and maybe have like
Yeah,
a
and
tech
you've got
move
the-
here or there.
You've got the sort of hazard blocking.
Yeah, that's really the big reason. Is just good as gold is a broken ass ability.
Yeah, I think ultimately you would go for Golden Go over this, but I definitely wouldn't look past it.
Definitely not. I mean, this thing
Yeah.
was Ubers for a long time for a reason.
No, yeah. Okay, next up, Alola Mola, which is in tier 2 currently.
Yeah, it's always been tier 2. And
It's a weird one. It's got huge HP stat. Let me get it.
it's 165, I believe.
Yeah. It's the kind of it's like the drift bloom effect. You got huge HP, but your actual defensive stats aren't huge. You do get regenerator.
The reason why I think Alomomola always gets looked over is because of Slowbro and Slowking. Difference being is that Alomomola gets knockoff, it gets wish, healing wish even. Like it has its niche differences over Slowking and Slowbro, but I think for the most part people just prefer the other ones. So I think that's the big reason why it
I
hasn't
definitely
ever
get
been
that.
drafted.
Yeah, you've got a few cool moves. You've got chilling water. I assume it gets Scald. It's not showing up on here.
It is.
But
It does.
yeah, yeah. I definitely would look at others first. So I'd probably go air.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just because there's already 2 regenerator water types that, especially since Slowking has chilly reception now, enables just a slightly more team. So
Yeah, I don't think this gets flip turn, which is kind of hurt against it.
yeah, because you look at other bulky waters in tier 2, you have something like Suicune, which we know how that did this last season, and
Oh yeah.
another Pokemon that it has been drafted before, but it was on a coach that dropped out fairly soon into the season 2. But Milotic gets Marvel Scale, gets Recovery, gets competitive as well, and that gets flip turned. So I think for a lot of teams, just bulky waters are very contestable.
I think it will probably be one of your last picks for a bulky water. I'm sure it'd be fine if you did pick it, but you're definitely gonna look at other things first.
For sure.
Yeah. So then we've got Arctazol.
This thing is evil. I mean, just typing alone, probably one of the best you can ask for.
Oh yeah, that stab. I mean, look at Iron Bundle.
Yeah, with Biff
in last season with the Electric Terror.
Yeah, and this thing gets Slush Rush with Bolt Beak. So, granted, it's base 55 speed, but again, if you just get it with Slowking or Ninetales, this thing can go in.
Oh, absolutely. It's easier than ever to set up a Hail team now. With those, like Galarian Slowking gets it, and the normal one. So there's gonna be some Hail setters out there.
And again, this is one of the spicy changes we made, but we dropped it down to tier 2 because it never been drafted, so it's in a more approachable tier. Great coverage.
Yeah, I think it definitely relies on that Slush Rush with that 55 speed. It's got okay defensive stats, but you kind of want to be able to whip those.
90, 90, 80? Like, that's good.
That's really not bad.
And you can run a mix set with Blizzard, because you're probably in the Hail, so you have a Blizzard that can never miss. You can be physical with the Bolt Beak. Like, it's a good mod.
Yes, I think this is probably a maybe because it's very team dependent. You kind of have to really support it. But I think it'd be a really good option for someone if they wanted to build a Hail team.
For sure. I mean, especially since we saw Titan last season just didn't go the way we thought it would. I think Arctazol is probably the best Slush Rush user out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, Azelf, the only of the Lake Trio to yet be drafted. Chase had Mesprit season 1. Noah had Uxie season 3? Yeah, last season.
Yeah. So Azelf is very frail, but you've got really nice move pool with it. You've got you can just use it as a suicide lead. You can say explode with it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The
Really
crazy
nice
thing
speed
about
tier.
Azelf is because it's so frail, it requires a lot of you need to play it like really well. Because again, most of the time you're going to be Sash. You'll see the occasional like Life Orb or Specs or Scarf, but a lot of
you're gonna have to be sure you can outspeed everything, because you're not taking a hit with it, are you?
No, not that well. But another thing that people kind of forget about it is a thing. Um, the Lake Trio got the signature move Mystical Power, which raises your special attack by 1 stage. Granted, it's 90 accuracy, 70 power, so it's not power-wise, it's not the
Not the most
greatest.
it's kind of like Fiery Dance, or
Yeah,
in the sense that there's a good chance you're gonna get that, and if you could steamroll with this thing.
yeah. I mean, this thing
if
is
someone,
good.
you don't want to let it get out of hand. What tier is it in?
It's tier
Tier
2.
2. Yeah, absolutely.
I would say this
What
is
we-
likely to go with Aegis Slash.
Yeah.
This thing is just, yeah, is Elf, especially someone that's played a lot of the older gens. Very surprising to me that his Elf has never gone, especially with, someone like Tanner that's always big on Gen 4 with me, like, very surprising.
Yeah, I also started playing competitive in Gen 4, so.
Oh, I started in Gen 6.
Oh, fair. So yeah, I know what Azov can do. So
Oh, man.
Zoom, I'm really surprised no one has taken a Zoom rail
Yeah, this
as
is-
a.
going into last season, we moved Diggersby and Azumarill down because they have never been drafted, and they still haven't. And I remember when we dropped Azumarill, I was like, this is gonna be an issue.
But no one's taken it yet. But you've got that huge power, water fairy. I used a Azumarill on my playthrough of Scarlet, and it was fucking like the first route out. I got an Azumarill that was Terrafire, and I could just hit everything. I had to take it off my team because it was like playing it on fucking easy mode.
Yeah. I mean, what Azumarill brings to the team, we talked about the huge power, but its other abilities, Sap Sipper and Thick Fat, you can bring a Sap Sipper set with Whirlpool Toxic and kill any grass type. And then the counter,
absolutely, yeah.
the grass type that you thought could beat Azumarill just dies to it. And again, with the introduction of Mirror Herb, you can do it. Like, for me, I didn't bring Shell Smash Blastoise as much as I thought I would, but still, every week in prep, you gotta think, do I bring the Mirror Herb? And with Azumarill,
you're definitely gonna want to give it a go against that belly drum.
if it gets that belly drum off, you just lose. So with Azumarill,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
you gotta prep for Mirror Herb, you gotta prep for Banded, because again, Banded Aqua Jets are gonna run through your team as well. Like, Azumarill, in my mind, if it doesn't get drafted this season, like, I don't know what we're doing.
It just gets in the bin.
Yeah. Enough said about Azumarill. I mean, yeah.
Vascular Legion, this is an odd one. I can say, like, there was value in this last season because the tier 3 with last respects is not as powerful as the male form. Not at all. But with a move that powerful, you really can't overlook this thing. But without last respect, I do not think anyone is going to pay any attention to this Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think anyone, like, it's going to be hard for people to consider. I suppose the male form will still be kind of viable with adaptability, but you really lose out on that extra move. But I don't think anyone's going to look at the female version.
yeah, I mean, just looking over at the moveset really quick, because it is more especially offensive. Its best move is Surf. I mean, it gets Shadow Ball, but
Not even Hydro Pump.
well, it gets Pump, but
Well,
it gets Pump. Okay, well, its special moveset is actually not bad. It gets Ice Beam as well, but I feel like on this one, you always want adaptability so you can hit a little bit harder. And with the male one, it's like, I feel like you have a lot more room in the ability slot to kind of make it whatever you want. So I kind of agree with you. I think it would be like, It's definitely approachable,
maybe.
but definitely not. You're always gonna look in the male first.
Yeah, and I think Just trying to see what other water types there are in that tier, because you've got say like, I think in the lower tiers you're usually looking for a kind of like maybe like a budget bulky water type, like Swampert is in tier 3, I think. You've got
Swampert,
sort of Momentum.
Quagsire,
Yeah.
Tentacruel got dropped, so
So I would probably be looking at those before I look at Basculegion female anyway. He's Slowking in tier 3 as well,
yeah, like
with Chilly Reception.
yeah, it's very
It's just not
hard.
gonna be your first option. Beware.
This has been talked about by many coaches. Most, I mean, this isn't saying much, but Mnez has looked at it a lot. I mean, Mnez looks at every Pokemon, that's why I say that, but
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
every season he talks about every Pokemon, so that's not really spoiling anything that he has cooked up, but Beware is a very interesting mod, normal fighting, with
Decent
it
ability.
gets fluffy, right? Yeah.
Fire weakness, bit odd, but
Yeah, but you know,
Contact
when you're
moves.
120 HP, 125 attack, it's pretty good.
what
You
tier are we in here?
Tier 4.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's what I mean. In Tier 4, I think this is really good. Because I mean, the other fighting types you're looking at is Hitmonlee, like maybe a Machamp, and like, you know, Hitmonlee, I would get over Beware because, you know, it's a rapid spinner with Unburden. It can be more flexible, but over things like Machamp,
Yeah, you've got.
I'm getting that over Machamp.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. And this thing gets Dragon Claw.
Okay. Are you really running Dragon Claw Beware here?
I don't. Why can a fluffy bear use Dragon Claw?
Hey man, he's got that beast in him, man. He can't be tamed.
Yeah. I'd say this is probably a maybe.
Yeah, I would say maybe to likely to go, just because, again, no one's ever looked at it. It's great value in Tier 4, so I could see someone getting this as like a very strong lower tier threat.
Yeah, I can see that. Right, so we can
Oh,
put this
God.
next one straight at the top.
Yeah, this is this is going round 1.
This is gonna be interesting to play against. So, Dragon Dance is banned on it.
Dragon Dance and Terra Captain is banned on
And Terra
Kyurem.
Captain, okay.
But
Good,
that
so
doesn't change anything.
Yeah, so you got Dragon Ice with Terravolt, and just look at this. You've got 125 HP, 170 attack, with a good move pool as well as 120 special attack.
Yeah.
I think you can't overlook the special side on this Pokemon. It's just like base Kyurem, you can do both.
Well, the thing about Kyurem Black is oftentimes you have to be special to get the Ice Stab and Ice Beam and to get Earth Power, but if you're clicking Dragon Claw or Iron Head, like that's gonna hurt. You get the Wing Beat now, which I didn't even know, but the big one
Yeah,
to me
you got
is
the
Fusion Bolt,
Fusion Bolt.
and you get Hone Claws. A lot of people didn't know this maybe, but you can still set up with it with that Hone Claws. And if you get a Hone Claws up, you're gonna be
That
sitting
could
pretty.
still be pretty deadly. You got 95 speed is a good tier.
Yeah, I mean, if you honestly, it's so bulky that like another set that you can really run on this thing is like a sub-toxic set.
Absolutely.
You get
It
Roost.
won't do it quite as well as the base form because it doesn't have pressure, but it's probably bulkier, so bit of a trade-off.
And I mean, if you really wanted to, you get Body Press for some reason. So if you need to break through it like a bulky steel, I don't know why you wouldn't Earth Power it, but if you needed to, you can Body Press.
Yeah, that's options. It's absolutely. Yeah, let's move on because that's pretty
Yeah,
self-explanatory.
Kyurem Black going round 1, absolutely. So Bombardier, I'll be honest, I've looked at Bombardier a lot. This Pokemon is sick. It's like Delmise where it gets Rocky Payload, But instead of having stab steel, you have stab rock, and it's a bird that gets stealth rocks, which I don't think we've gotten before.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just looking. I haven't looked too much into this Pokemon, but yeah, you've got Stealth Rock, you've got U-Turn. Do you have Defog?
No.
You don't have Defog. You got Flying. You got the Mandibuzz typing. This is kind of like a Mandibuzz at home. You got Heat Wave.
This is more of an offensive
Oh,
one,
I
but
know
you still have tech. Like
yeah,
you
your
have
special attack's a
parting
bit
shot.
shit.
Again, stealth rocks. You have U-turn taunt. Like, you know, unfortunately, got kind of the draw dog treatment that a lot of Gen 9 mons did. Like no toxic, no defog, no like a lot of the signature moves that you'd want on this. It doesn't have. None of its stats
Yeah.
really stand out either. But again, for a tier 4, I
You got
think this is very
Tailwind.
interesting.
I think this is really good value for a tier 4. That move pool is, it's not gonna be like Mandibuzz or other flying types do this kind of thing, like Tornadus. But I think for a tier 4, if you need a flying type, if you need something to get a bit of momentum in, I think this is a good pick. I think this is quite likely or maybe.
Yeah, I would definitely say. I
Top
don't know about
of-
likely, but this is definitely top of maybe for
I think
me.
it's a top of maybe, yeah. Bramblegast.
This
This is
I
a
had
weird
I
one.
had I had high expectations when I first saw this mon because its
I
ability
would've
just sounded
loved-
sick.
I would love to really enjoy this Pokemon, but it's got an Infiltrator, 115 attack, but I just wish it had maybe like one more stat that was a bit more outstanding or just a bit more bulk. I think a lot of people sort of in the lower tiers complaining that because it's got Rapid Spin, it gives it value, but it kind of does everything else a bit shit. So
I mean, okay, you
they're
can
kind of forced to use it because it's got Rapid Spin.
okay. It gets Strength Staff, it gets Leech Seed, it gets Disable. Like it can be an annoying defensive mon, spikes even. But like the way I saw it recently, it was in the BBR. A guy used Eject Pack with Leaf Storm. You know, you can get creative with it.
To be fair, you've got Trailblaze as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at Grass Ghost, I think all the other Grass Ghosts just diff it. I mean, you got Decidueye, which has Defog, so beats it there. You have Delmise, which
You got
has
Delmise.
Anchor Shot and Rapid Spin, beats it there. You got the Tree Trevenant.
Gourgeist.
Yeah, Gourgeist has Will-O-Wisp, and you have like 80 different forms to choose from, which better. And then Trevenant is the only one you can compare it to, but it's in tier 5. This is tier 4, so kind of just preference
Yeah.
at that point. But I think
You-
this
you
is
got-
probably a no one cares for me.
Yeah, you've got three. Is it three of those Grass Ghosts, including Bramblegast, all in the one tier? I think you're going to be looking at Delmise or Decidueye before you pick up Bramblegast.
Bramblegast is when you realize that there's 20 coaches in the league and the other 2 get taken, and then you're like, oh, I still need that typing and hazard removal, and you're like, oh, let's get Bramblegast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ugh.
Then we got the Braviary form.
This,
We got the Hisuian.
we had a tier 2 last season, and I think we over-tiered it, but we moved it down to tier 3, and I think in tier 3, this thing is very, very evil.
This has got Sheer Force, Keen Eye, and Tinted Lens.
You can
You've got signature-
tinted lens with Esper Wing, or if you really wanted to, it gets boosted by Sheer Force, which high crit chance raises your speed by 1. So you're not the fastest, but you're getting a speed boost every time. You're bulky. This thing is kind of crazy.
I think with the right build around it to support it, bring it in nicely. You've got U-turn, you've got Tailwind, you've got Whirlwind.
Bro, you still like I know your attack stat isn't the greatest, but it's usable at 83, and you still have that great attack move pool that normal Braviary has in close combat. So like, if you need to, you can do it. And with Tinted Lens, I mean, y'all know how low kicks did last season, so
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's just been franchised again.
Yeah.
You got the defog on this Pokemon as well. So you can use it. If you wanted to, you could use it as utility. I don't think you'd be drafting this because of that. But if there's 20 coaches, if everything else is gone, have a look at it.
Yeah.
Tier 3.
I mean, it's one of the things that you always want to be. It's not weak to fighting, and with something that quad resists it, and just any fighting type has to switch out because both your dual stabs just like OHKO it. That's a good thing. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I could. I don't know if I'll say likely to go, but I'll put it like. I think
it's definitely a maybe, kind of mid. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's more
that's
likely
about
than
it.
Beware, but I think Arctozolt is probably a little bit more looked at. So.
Yeah. So then on normal Braviary, the Unova,
Yeah.
the American Braviary.
The real Braviary. Slightly faster, slightly stronger. But
yeah, this is your physical attacker. You got most of the same moves. And a lot of that move pool that the Hisuian form has is gonna hit a lot harder with this Pokemon because it was firstly built as a physical attacker.
yeah, and I mean you got Sheer Force and Defiant, so it can be an anti-hazard remover. This thing, in my opinion, excels at being a choice scarfer. You can just scarf it with Brave Bird or Close Combat. It's very hard to switch into. Yeah, I think I think you can still do the funny stuff with Sheer Force, Rock Slide, and Iron Head, but I think banding or scarfing this thing is definitely how you're gonna get the most value.
Yeah. That 80 speed tier is kind of where you start thinking about putting scarves on Pokemon, just getting the best out of them.
Yeah, it's the
I think
borderline
this is
not shit speed tier anymore, but still not good.
yeah.
I would say this is as likely to go as the Hisuian one.
I think so. I agree. Breloom hasn't been drafted yet.
This
to be fair,
will be drafted.
yeah.
No way.
To be fair, like you've had one season Gen 9 where Breloom just skyrocketed. So last season that's a fluke. This season someone is taking it.
Yeah, I mean, Draft League, you can do a lot of funny stuff, as everyone knows. You got Poison Heal, Effect Spore, which I don't think I'll ever use, but Poison Heal is such an obnoxious ability to play against. Gliscor uses it the best, but Breloom is like second right behind it. Technician. Personally, if I were to use Breloom, I'd make him my Terra Captain, and I'd do Terra Fighting, and I'd do Terra Rock. You wanna know why? Rock, you're not weak to flying anymore, you're not weak to fire, and you get Stab, Technician boosted Rock Tombs. And
no, that's evil.
Breloom is the fastest Spore user out there. I mean, you can sash it and just bring it out, and then something just has to go to sleep. Then you can get
you've got
free
a
SD.
loaded die, Bullet Seed, and this is definitely. There's a few things you've got: Spore, Leech Seed, Stun Spore. You've got Sub Swords Dance Set.
You can even do Sub Focus Punch. I've seen it.
That's absolutely. We saw Giga Impact Palafin this season. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
This is absolutely going.
If it's not tabs, we're crucifying him. But if it is tabs, it's about damn time you got your boy.
Then we've got Brute Bonnet, which has gone down from tier 2 to tier 3.
Yeah.
I believe that's right. So we've got.
I think this is likely to go. I mean, all the Paradox Mons are pretty good, but Brute Bonnet, I mean, it's another Spore user, which in draft just forces prep, whether you bring. It's like Sticky Webs. Just having Spore,
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
have to prep for it. And for some reason, this thing getting close combat, like, this thing hits very hard.
It's got great bulk. I mean, obviously you've got that typing, which is 4 times weak to one of the most common moves in this format, or just generally competitive Pokemon. But you've got a
Can
good
Terra.
amount of bulk. You can Terra. I think this would definitely, from a defensive standpoint, benefit from Terra.
Even offensively, like, if you just did, like, Terra Fight in close combat, if you did, like, Terra Dark for the Sucker Punch, you could even do Terra Fire just to break through other grass types. I mean, there's options.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've got synthesis. You know, if you have this on a sun team, then that's gonna work really well with protosynthesis.
Yeah.
I think this is quite likely.
Yeah,
especially now it's been moved down.
I would say it's probably the least likely out of the 3 up here, or the 2 up here, but I could definitely see Brute going for sure.
Oswald.
This, oh god, I gotta get into it, but, so this, yeah, this is very, we made a interesting tier change that a certain man with big feet did not agree with, and that was moving Slitherwing up from tier 2 to tier 1. And when we were making that point, we kind of talked about it, and there's 3 big bug fightings. There's Buzzwole, Slitherwing, and Heracross. Heracross, my opinion, tier 2. Buzzwole, obviously tier 1. But Slitherwing is in that in between.
It's kind of, yeah, it's definitely closer to Buzzwole, I think.
Yeah, and
in terms of the roles they play,
Buzzwole can just plug and play in any team. So Slitherwing, you get Will-O-Wisp, you're essentially a fire type, because for some reason you get like moves like Flare Blitz and fucking Flame Charge, but Slitherwing, in my opinion, is as good, if not even slightly better than Buzzwole. But Buzzwole, I mean, if you hit this thing with a Brave Bird, like, it can live. It can live.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you could definitely do what Tanner did with Terra Electric on this Pokemon, and do just as well as he did with Slitherwing in this season.
Yeah, I think Terra Rock would probably be a little bit better just because Stone Edge.
Yeah,
because you're only.
That's true.
I mean, I guess you could Terra Blast, but
what you don't get on this Pokemon is the first impression.
Yeah, that's the big one. You don't get the priority, and you don't get the utility. You're just kind of know what Buzzwole's gonna do. You know, maybe you'll see the tone set, maybe see like a Roost, but.
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't know if this is likely to go. I think maybe because Slitherwing did well, people might look at it, but I'd almost want to put it in maybe.
Yeah, I think it's top of maybe for sure, but it's like you said, just naturally how things work in draft leagues. Once someone sees something, use something really well, it's gonna get looked at by a lot of people. Buzzwole has never been drafted, so unless someone just picks it up, I think it probably will go undrafted for some time. But with Slitherwing, giving it some more competition, yeah, kind of what you said. Just I think the way Tanner used Slitherwing, it definitely makes people forget about Buzzwole just a little bit more.
I think so, yeah. Sent on to the next Ultra Beast as well.
This is I am very surprised this has gone undrafted.
I have, yeah. Biff, in the last league we played in, Biff had this Pokemon and he got to finals with it, so kind of tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the other Steel Flyings we have in Skarmory and Corviknight, Celesteela is offensive, which is weird, but it's the only Ultra Beast that can boost any stat of its own, because it's so balanced.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Celesteela is just really hard to kill.
this move pool you've got fire, grass attacks. You've got hidden power, obviously, heavy slam.
The big one is Leech Seed. Big one is
absolutely.
Leech Seed. Because why a giant mecha flying metal machine can Leech Seed you, I couldn't tell you, but
sub-toxic Leech Seed. You could do. I think a really good thing about what makes a Pokemon really good in Draft League is its versatility. Not having your opponent not fully knowing what it's gonna bring, because there's some Pokemon it just makes sense to run a particular set, and I'm
Right.
sure there'll be a few of these on that list. But with a Pokemon like this, you can run whole different sets, and you kind of have to in your head prepare for a multitude of sets that they might bring. I think this Pokemon is a great example of that because of that stat spread, because of that move pool. I think this is very likely to go.
yeah, I would say this is probably the top of likely to go. I mean, Steel Flying, incredible typing. And just like Celesteela and laddering is annoying enough, but when you're in draft and you know what your opponent has and you can mold that set to be what you need it to be, like you can get, again, its stat spread is super good, so you can EV it to live a lot of hits, you can EV it to do a lot of damage, and once you start racking up them beast boosts, just like any other Ultra Beast, it starts getting real scary real quick.
Okay, so this is it's not overly surprising because it's kind of a middle tier Pokemon. This is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's like my number 2 favorite Pokemon ever. Chandelure.
Yeah, Shandy is an interesting one.
The OG Ghost Fire.
Yeah.
In some ways, has been kind of outclassed, where you had sort of Blacephalon come along in Gen 7. But one thing Chandelure gets that Blacephalon doesn't is Hex. So how I would use this Pokemon is build a team with a lot of stat spreaders, maybe like static Flame Body, Toxic Spikes, and just have a Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs Chandelure come in late game and just click that Hex button with that 145 special attack.
Yeah.
I think if you build it right, this Pokemon can do very well. Obviously, the 80 speed tier, we were talking about that earlier, it's kind of the starting to be okay. So that Choice Scarf is a really good item for this. And that bulk's not ideal.
Yeah. I've seen Chandelure drafted, back in the day, like Gen 6, 7 leagues. A typical thing I would see with Chandelure is you pair it with something like Scizor, because again, Flash Fire, giving something with a 145 special attack a boost to one of their stabs, you cannot afford it in a game. So just by having Chandelure on your team, it forces fire types to play completely differently. And again, because you're a ghost type, you're a spin blocker, you can specs it, scarf it. It gets a lot of great utility. I mean, it gets Will-O-Wisp, Trick Room. I mean, you can get really creative with this mon, and
Trick Room is a way you could play this Pokemon.
Yeah, you can do
what
is it? Room service with Trick Room. You get minus speed, and then you with 145 attack, you're just slinging them Fire Blast and Shadow Balls. I would say this is top of maybe, bottom of likely to go.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Let's put it likely to go, because we gotta represent the GOAT. All right.
For shiny.
Yeah, the shiny is one of the best. The Chestnut, now, like Breloom, not the greatest typing, especially from a defensive end, but you get spikes, you get spiky shield. It has its place.
Yeah, so this is a tier 3 Pokemon. People did. It's another Pokemon that just gets Dragon Claw. Why does it get Dragon?
Again, man, he's got that beast in him. He cannot be contained.
Yeah. But you've got that 122 defense with body press. That is an option. Not hugely great HP stat to support that, but would kind of be alright. You've got 4 times flying weakness. It's not ideal.
My thing with this mon is, you know, it's a not that belly drum is like its best set, but again, it's some fun tech that you can bring out if the matchup asks for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can super fang, which is just always good. Again, leech seed, roar, spikes, spiky shield. I mean, is it the best like defensive mon ever? No. Is it the worst? I wouldn't say so. Like, Chestnut, it serves a very weird niche, but it, you know, not a lot of Pokemon get spikes and stuff, so if you need a grass type, if you need a spikes user, I think in tier 3, I think it's very approachable.
Yeah.
This is
You
probably
say
like
like
an to a maybe, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe like a top of air.
Yeah. Cincino, this, even though it didn't get drafted in Season 3, we thought about moving it up just because of the loaded dice shenanigans, but, I mean, this is the King's Rock mon. If,
So what tier are we in? Oh, it's a
this
tier,
is tier
4.
Yeah, this mon, we all know the King's Rock shenanigans, but Cincino is, it's Mousehold before Mousehold existed, you know?
Yes, it's a good speed tier. And you've got, what moves have you got for that?
You get U-turn, triple axle, which technician boosted, rock blast, tail whip, or tail slap, whatever that move is called. Yeah, tail slap. I mean, you know, is it the best mon ever? No, but in tier 4, it's literally Mousehold before Mousehold.
It's Mousehold at home, even though last season they were in the same tier.
Yeah, so now that Mousehold is tier 3, you actually have a reason to looking at this thing. It's one of those things where
There's no kind of, I'm trying to, what, does it have any kind of setup move? Obviously it's not going to get tidy up, but...
Calm mind. No. Calm mind up.
Nothing really to boost its attack.
No.
So it's not ideal.
Oh, you can work up.
Think...
You can work up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got tail slap, so that's a stab, hit him 5 times.
You know, you probably want Wide Lens or King's Rock or Life Orb, but, you know, with 95 attack isn't terrible, especially with being so fast, so I can see it.
It's definitely... It's probably another sort of top of air.
Yeah, it's probably no one cares.
I don't think many people are gonna actually look at it, but it's there if you want to use it.
I say it's more looked at than the female Bastia Legion.
Probably.
We hate women.
Oh, hey.
Alright, Clodsire, this will be drafted.
Moving on.
This will be drafted. There
Oh, absolutely.
No shot Clodsire does.
I think any of the newer Pokemon that didn't get taken last season are getting snapped up this time.
Yeah.
Clodsire is at maybe not the top of that list, but definitely up there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at its stats,
Poison.
and nothing really stands out besides HP and special defense, but Water Absorb and Unaware are 2 of the best abilities in competitive, and this thing gets access to all hazards except for webs. Earthquake, Gunk Shot, Poison Jab, Recover. It's one of the few mons left that still get toxic. I mean, and it's 100% because you're a poison type. I mean, This thing is just hard to kill. It flat out, it's gonna be hard to kill, especially with the rules that we have in place with mono items. It gives you a great wall that doesn't use leftovers. It uses black sludge, so it gives room for another wall to have the leftovers.
Absolutely, yeah.
This thing is a demon.
I will be very, very shocked if no one takes this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a fairy resist. It has an immunity to something it's weak to. Unaware, just always going to be a great ability.
You don't have Scald, but you've got the chilling water, still gonna lower the physical attack that you're not so good on. Like, you can do a lot with this.
Yeah, and it's like Clefable, where it has two great abilities, where in prep, you probably don't know what it's gonna bring. So when you're actually playing, you have to test the waters and find out what ability it is first. But let's say you think it's gonna be unaware. Let's say you think it's gonna be water absorb, so you bring setup and then it's unaware. Your whole strat just goes out the window. Or say you have an offensive water, you don't know if it's water absorb. You say it and click a move, you heal it, and then it toxics you. Like, the mind games just from the abilities alone are very good.
Yeah, it's that unpredictability factor in again, and for a defensive Pokemon like this to have that is something else.
Yeah.
It's like Cofagrigus. We're in tier 3 now.
Yeah, this is if you play draft leagues back in Gen 6 and 7, this Mon being undrafted for multiple seasons on end, that's an anomaly. Generation 9, it's one of those things where people just kind of forget, but Cofagrigus is he's one of the best defensive Mons you can ask for.
Yeah, just look at that defense. Like the Pain Split, Toxic Spikes, Toxic, Trick Room, Will-O-Wisp. You've got all the annoying moves this Pokemon can do.
And again, like Reuniclus, it can self-set Trick Room and then start sweeping, because 95 special attack, it's not bad, and you get Calm Mind. So if you really need to, you can start doing some really funky things.
You could do a Trick Room Will-O-Wisp pack set.
Yeah. And another thing is Mummy. Just let's say you're playing against a Mega Mawile. You bring it out, you eat one hit, it loses huge power, it's useless. Like, Mummy is just a great ability. It's so annoying to prep against.
Especially because, and I think it's kind of the weak point of Cofagrigus. It's going to invite a lot of people to knock off this Pokemon. Even, you'll pass Mummy off, but you do lose that item and you're weak to knock off.
Yeah.
It's kind of the downside of it, but at least you can pass that Mummy on. So they kind of have to double think. They have to think before they do it.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing you're weak to knock off, you can bring the Culver Berries. You can bring the tech, but yeah, I think if this was like a Dark type, for example, this thing would be a lot. It would be like an Umbreon and just be better. But Ghost, it's not bad, but you know what I mean. Yeah, this in me is likely to go. I think it's like right behind Chandelure.
So. Yeah. Conkeldurr is it's an odd one. So is this still in? This has gone down to tier 2. Okay,
yeah, it's tier 2 now.
Sense.
This is Ursaluna in Gen 5. This is Gen 5 Ursaluna.
Yeah. Guts, tier 4. I mean, you're gonna want to use Guts with a Flame Orb on there.
The thing is, because for whatever reason in Ultra Sun and Moon, they just gave every Pokemon defog, and Conkeldurr is one of them. So, it gives you a hazard removal. Not that you'd probably ever use it as that, but gives you options. You get Iron Fist, boosted Mach Punches, Drain Punch, always going to be good. I mean, it's just 3 of the best abilities in Pokemon. Again, like you said, it can be a status absorber, or you can just run Flame Orb. I mean, Conkeldurr is just good. That's just the only way to put it. He's just good.
Yeah, I think now that it's moved down a tier, it's probably quite likely that someone will be looking at it.
Yeah, I would say it's up there with like a Zelf. I think it's as likely to go as a Zelf.
I agree with that.
Alright, Kaparaja. Now if this thing got its steel type stealth rocks, this thing would be crazy, but unfortunately we're stuck with this
Yeah,
thing.
not quite. And
This I really don't know why you'd ever draft this thing, I'll be honest.
what tier are we in here?
This is tier
Four.
4.
Yeah, it's an odd one. It's not got good bulk. I mean that 122 HP is good, but those 69 defenses to contrast, they're not nice.
Yeah, I mean, you're really just gonna be like offensive with sheer force, or like maybe heavy metal with like heavy slam, but like, why would you make your steel type this on your team?
Yeah, I mean you want a steel type because it's gonna be bulky. It's gonna take a hit. Just with that amazing typing, and you just don't quite get that with this Pokemon. You're gonna want it. Like I think it would be best in a trick room setting. Like you really use that 130 attack, with like heavy slam and everything. But it can't set that up itself. You're gonna have to really build around it. I don't think it's quite worth all that effort to build around this Pokemon. So
Yeah,
this is definitely
it's sitting next to Bramble
no
Gas.
one's.
This, like, the fact it's a steel type that doesn't even get stealth rocks, it just shows how fucking shit it is. Like, oh man, they did my boy dirty.
Yeah, it is a shame, but
Crawdon, Mr. Crawl. So we had this thing tier 2 for a while, and then I kind of vouched for it to move down, but Crawl in tier 3 is this is like a Azumarill, but better. I would say, not better, but this is a stronger Azumarill, because with adaptability, you get adaptability knockoffs, adaptability crab hammers, adaptability aqua jets, and you know, you get Swords Dance, you get Dragon Dance for whatever reason. Like you can do some things with this guy.
yeah, you could really do. You could Bandit. You could. I probably wouldn't scarf it with 55.
No, it's beyond useless. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need to because it's got adaptability, Aquajet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just gone off using Hisuian Samurott this last season, Water and Dark, having this doesn't get Sucker Punch, does it?
No, but it gets close combat.
It does get, yeah, it's got good amount of coverage with Water Dark and Fighting. Well, I mean, Water Dark covers quite a lot, I found.
Yeah.
Like just from my experience with that other Pokemon, towards the end of the season, I was running the same 4 moves every time, and they were all Water and Dark moves. Just 2 of them happened to be priority. So, but you could do quite a lot with this Pokemon, and for a tier 3 to have adaptability, that attack stat, and priority moves, this is definitely something you can't sleep on it.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best wall breakers in Pokemon, and again, you can even use as a late game cleaner. I would say this is next to Buzzwole, maybe. Because again, I think people would look at things like Azumarill before this. But in tier 3, this thing is very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Darkrai. This is new.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts?
I think, personally, I think it will be good in tier 1. I don't think it'll be broken. I think it'll be a good addition. But I think just because Darkrai, just having Darkrai on your team sounds so cool, I think this will be drafted But I think moving into future seasons, I could see Darkrai going undrafted.
I agree. I think everyone's gonna be looking at it because it's Darkrai. Even without sleep, I think you can be really creative and build around it. Use someone, pair it up with Breloom or Amoonguss. Get Pokemon that can put something to sleep, and then bring in Darkrai and start using that Bad Dreams. You've got great speed tier with that special attack stat. So even without sleep, this thing with Calm Mind is going to put a lot of damage in for you.
Yeah,
But I do agree. Maybe after a season or two, I think people will slowly stop looking at it quite as much.
Yeah. Another thing is, it's no sleep and it's no nasty putt, but again, you can Calm Mind. The big one is you can Terra, which, in my opinion, I think Terra Poison is the best because you get Sludge Wave, Sludge Bombs, you can stab on those, and you're really bringing your Psychic type out onto Darkrai. So, Darkrai, I 100% will be drafted this season.
This thing gets Spatial Rend.
Yeah.
I never knew that. That's amazing. High crit ratio.
If the issue is like, if you're not a oh my god. If you're not a dragon type, why are you using dragon moves?
That's very true. And with a Pokemon with like a move pool like Darkrai has, you're probably not gonna. It's just interesting.
Yeah, like if there's like a bulky dragon you gotta kill, like a Druddigon or something, like a Goodra, I could see that.
Then Zen mode. Tangela.
This is a weird one. Because again, after you transform into your Zen mode, unless you're Boots, you have to stay in because you die to rocks, you take 50%. But you want to talk about a Pokemon that is min-max to hell and back. I mean, this is what Mega Beedrill aspired to be.
Yeah.
I mean, a very common set that you will see with this Pokemon is Citrus Berry Belly Drum. Or not Citrus Berry, but Salic Berry Belly Drum. Because again...
Yeah, you get that speed boost with the max attack.
Yeah, you just win.
Amazing attack and speed. Amazing tiers for those.
You get great coverage just like normal Darm. You get Stab Fire, which is never a bad thing. Fire and Ice, like two of the best offensive typings in Pokemon. Again, it's just that typing. But because you can tear it, you
could tear it.
Yeah. Like, what if you tear ground and then you resist rocks now, and then you get Stab Earthquake? Like, in my opinion, this should be drafted, but I don't think it will be.
Yeah, you could even play. You could play with, like, your opponent has to think, because obviously you want to get below half HP. If your opponent puts up rocks, you got a free switch in. You're just already in Zen mode.
Well, no, because you start out when you're above 50%, you're normal Darmanitan, so you just beat the ice.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, my bad.
You're good, but again, it's like you said. They set up the rocks for you. You just switch in twice, and then you're at 50%, and then you can start going crazy.
Yeah, it's maybe the one time where Stealth Rock can kind of work in your favor.
Yeah. So yeah, my opinion, I think Zenmo Darmanitan is as scary as Kieran Black, but I don't think it will be drafted. But I think it is like likely to go, in my opinion. I think it's like there.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
This thing is a demon. Alright, so Delphox. Oh, you know what? None of the Gen 6 starters have ever been drafted. Greninja hasn't been drafted either. We'll get to that, but yeah, Delphox.
That's interesting.
This there's only two Pokemon that get Magician, and it's the Hoopas, or I guess three. The two Hoopas and Delphox. And Delphox is a great mon because you can run something like a Magician, Power Herb, Solar Beam, and then you kill a bulky water or Solar Beam, and then you take its leftovers. Um, you can also do some trickery with Trick or Switcheroo. Fire Psychic, good typing. You have a good speed tier, good special attack. Good special bulk, not as good physical bulk, but again, you're fire types, you get Will-O-Wisp. It's a good mon, especially in tier 4. I think it's very good.
I think it's got really good low tier value on this. Really good speed tier, just outspeed all those base 100s, even like Garchomp. Not that you would ever put this Pokemon against Garchomp.
Yeah, I mean, because you are an older generation Pokemon, you do get access to hidden powers. So
yeah, HP Ice is going to be good on this Pokemon. Get rid of those ground types.
The original Mystical Firemon, gotta love that. Every Pokemon in the game fucking gets it now, but this is the original, the OG. Yeah, I mean, Delphox, I don't think people will look at it, but I think it's a good maybe. I think it's like...
It's good enough for maybe like a bottom of maybe.
Yeah, I'd say probably like around Arctozold area.
Yeah, that looks good. Deoxys, speed and defense.
Alright, I think... Okay,
oh, no.
Hot take. I think speed without Nasty Plot is a tier 2 mod. I don't think it's that good.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, you've got 90. Yeah, you've really not got good bulk. All you've got really is the B tier, because you got.
And even then, someone's always gonna have Reggie, so you're always gonna have that one person that outspeeds you.
Yeah, and people will build to work around that speed tier. I think what I found, especially because I didn't have anything particularly overly fast on my team this season, so I found I was always looking at how can I outspeed the top Pokemon. What do I need to Scarf? What do I need to Creep? And people are either gonna look at, oh, I can get past it with this, or they're gonna go, oh, okay, I'm not gonna outspeed it, but let's work around it somehow else.
Yeah, and I mean, Psychic typing, you just die to Sucker Punch or Shadow Sneak. Like, yes, you can use this as a Terra Captain, but are you gonna use this as your Terra Captain? I don't know.
I don't think it'd be... for all the things you could use as a Terra Captain, I don't think this is worth it.
No.
Like, you've got Stealth Rock Spikes.
It's a great lead. It is a great lead.
You've got Taunt, Stealth Rock Spikes. It does that very well, but you're not using this because you want to put damage and stuff, because you're outspeeding things.
Yeah, honestly, I think its best set will be that lead set, and then maybe you can throw in Psycho Boost with an eject pack. You know, you could also do like White Herb eject pack, but again, or like White Herb Psycho Boost, but again, it's like without Nasty Plot, this Pokemon is just... It's hard. I think it will get drafted just because it's Deoxys speed, but I don't think
it is an Uber.
I think it will be one of those things where you draft it and you're hyped to use it, and then like around like week 4 or 5, you're not having a good season, you're looking to drop this.
Yeah, I think especially as a tier 1 pick, with everything else in that tier, I don't think if it was tier 2, it gets snapped up like that.
Oh yeah.
Great lead. You don't have to bring it every time. So there it is. Tier 1, you're looking for like really the centerpiece of your team, and this isn't going to be that.
No, not by any means.
But someone will probably have a look at it and go, "Ooh, let's go."
Yeah.
It's Deoxys defense.
Deoxys defense. His first season that he was unbanned was last season. Didn't get drafted, but I think Deoxys speed without Nasty Plot is not good. Deoxys defense, I don't think it's a tier 1. I really don't. but I think it's better than Deoxys Speed without Nasty Plot. Um,
Yeah, I think there's slightly more you can do with this, with its move pool.
just bulky
You
psychics
can,
are just good in draft. You have things like
yeah,
Mew, you have things like Reuniclus, like Deoxys defense is really good. You get great utility. You get knockoff, recover, Thunderwave, toxic,
you
stealth
can
rock
still,
spikes,
yeah, you
taunt.
can still put all the hazards on this.
Yeah,
I think you can just use a lot more of Deoxys's move pool. Obviously, still you're not going for the offense on this, obviously,
that's
but
the,
it's gonna
that's the
take
good
a
thing
hit.
though, because Deoxys speed without nasty plot is kind of doing this thing's job, but this thing does it better because it can live the hits.
Absolutely.
And a wall with base 90 speed, that's very good.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of those outside, maybe like Scream Tail.
Yeah, so I mean, I
You
think
can
this is
actually
top of
outspeed things.
I think this is top of likely to go.
Yeah, I think again, if it was tier 2, absolutely go for it. It's just, do you want to use your tier one of your maybe 2 or 3 tier 1 slots on this Pokemon? We'll see.
Yeah, we will definitely see. Diggersby. Um,
Diggersby.
kind of brought it up when I was talking about Azumarill, but
Oh yeah, it gets pickup. Great.
yeah, the big pickup. But Diggersby is stronger than Azumarill. You get stab, body slams, returns, and quick attacks. So, like Azumarill, you get stab priority, which is good. But the big thing about Diggersby is you just choice ban this thing or choice scarf it every week, and things die. You can also do a double dance set with agility sword stance, which is really good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with Diggersby. I mean, you can do like, does it get fake out? I don't think it does, but you can do like you can do like an earthquake last resort set. You can do power up punch last resort. You can do scarf with like U-turn and stuff. Like normal ground is a weird typing. I think its only other one is Ursaluna, but we saw Ursaluna JC this season. Normal ground is a good typing. Normal's only things it can't hit are rock and steel types and your ground type. So I would draft Diggersby over a lot of these mons, but I think because again it's an older mon, just looking at its stats, it's not the most appealing, even though it does get huge power. I think it is top of maybe, but for me, this would be like a likely to go. Because yeah, I mean, again, I'm always gonna bring up my experiences, but oh, Josh can't hear me. Okay. So I'll just keep talking until he gets back. But yeah, I mean, back in Gen 6 and Gen 7, Diggersby and Azumarill.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I think my internet went a bit there.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm
I was still talking about Diggersby in the meantime, but yeah, I mean, Diggersby back in Gen 6 and 7 draft leagues was always getting picked up, and I mean, again, just looking at stats, it doesn't look that good, but because of huge power, this thing is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And where are we? Tier.
This is tier 2.
Um, yeah, tier 2, definitely. It's gonna. It just depends on team build, really. Whether you want to go with something like Azumarill with, but do you need the water type or do you need the ground type? Um, I could definitely see someone. Yeah, maybe is probably a good choice.
Yeah, for me, I would
Uh,
say this is likely to go, but just because, again, it's slightly older mon, people maybe haven't used it before. I think it's a good maybe, but this Pokemon in tier 2, that's a lot of value.
yeah, cool. So Dracovish and Dracozolt. I feel
Yeah.
like we could probably talk about both of them together.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of
So
the same thing.
Dracovish is
Except one
no,
uses
yeah,
Bolt Beak, one uses Vicious Rend. I mean, so we moved like all of these fossils down a tier except for Dracovish. looking back, probably should have dropped Dracovish. Now, it should be stated that Strong Jaw is banned, but you can use Sand Rush. But Sand Rush is a little bit more approachable because there's a lot better Sand Rushers out there. You're not as slow as the other forms. You're base 75, so that's another reason why Dracovish is probably like still up there. But Drake is all kind of the same exact thing, but just you use Bolt Beak.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, yeah, is obviously not having strong jaw is kind of an alpha Dracovish sitting there in tier one.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
you've definitely got to be a Sam focused team. You definitely are picking up like a Tyranitar or Hippowdon to go with that. Um, I would probably, if I was building a Sand team, I would probably pick Dracozolt
Yeah,
over
it's because
Dracovish.
Drake is ults tier 3 and Dracovish is tier 1.
Yeah, it's tier three, and like you're not doubling up on. I suppose you're not doubling up because it's dragon type. Um, but just having Pokemon of that different variety on a Sand team is going to be really nice.
Yeah.
Um, we don't get
And
Volt
usually on
Switch on
sand teams,
Dracozolt.
you struggle to kill those bulky waters because you're clicking Earthquake and it's like But with Drake is all you break through them with the Bolt Beak. So I think
Absolutely.
I think Drake is all is around Brute Bonnet area, and I think Dracovish is probably around like Crawdon. I think Drake is all is more likely to go than Dracovish.
Absolutely.
All right, we got a
So another
Dragalge.
dragon.
Yeah, this again. I'm always gonna bring up my past experiences in drafts, but Dragalge. I mean, even the doctor, the MD, Pokemon MD is using it in his league right now. I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah, I mean like
Dragalge is just crazy.
anything with adaptability is gonna have a decent amount of value.
Yeah, I mean, you get
Especially
adaptability boosted Dracos, which we all know how
exactly.
hard
Like
Draco hits. And just to top it off, it gets toxic spikes. So, you think you're going to be safe, you switch in your steel type to wall it, and then it just sets up spikes on you.
yeah, no, absolutely. You've got the water coverage to cover the ground types that will come in for you. And uh you've got Scald.
Yeah.
Decent amount of coverage. Have you got Ice Beam?
No, he doesn't.
No. You got hidden power, so you could do a kind of bolt beam thing with hidden power,
Terra
Thunderbolt.
Electric. Oh, it gets Thunderbolt? Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Thunderbolt and Thunder, so you put us on a rain team.
Oh, yeah.
So this is definitely. I think it's quite likely.
Yeah, in tier 3, I
Yeah,
think this is a
you've
likely
got
to go. Probably around
you've
like
also got
Shandy.
you've also got Flit Turn, so
Yeah,
anything with a bit of momentum is instantly a bit more value in this sort of format.
for sure.
Dur- Durant.
This guy, he's interesting because he's hustle, which you
Yeah,
know, not the great. I like hustle personally. I like hustle, but you can also
yeah.
do like entrainment
You got
truant, which is crazy tech. And again,
you
you
got
have a great speed tier. Bug Steel is just the best typing in Pokemon. You're only weak to fire. Um, and
this
again,
fantastic
if you're
type. You
if you're
got
hustle, you get one home claws off, and then you're essentially +2 attack, and then you can't miss, and you just go to town.
oh, absolutely, yeah. You've got first impression on this Pokemon. We were talking about that with Slitherwing.
Yeah, if you're hustle,
But
banded first impressions, what is switching in?
absolutely, and yeah, a home clause on this Pokemon. Fantastic speed tier.
You're bulky on the physical
Um,
side, even though your HP's kind of shit. So, you know, I I don't know. I think this is like a top of just because like I don't know who really looks at Durant, but I think it is a great pickup in tier 3. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I'm down with that. The Alolan Executor.
Oh my god, the eggy. The eggy.
The Eki.
Um another one of
We
those
got
Pokemon that can
Harvest.
self-set Trick Room, which is always good. But you have two of probably the best abilities in draft in Frisk and Harvest.
Yeah, Frisk is going to be. Yeah, you could definitely run either of them, especially in a sort of best of three format that we play in. Frisk is going to help you out a lot. Just in that game one, figuring out your opponent's sets. You've got
You can be a
some.
mixed attacker.
You
I mean, you got Earthquake, you got Dragon Hammer, signature move Dragon Hammer. You got what? You get Power Whip, like, but obviously the special set is what you're looking at. You got the Draco, Leaf Storm, Hidden Power. Like, it it is a good mod. Grass Dragon, kind of a weird typing. You're quad weak to ice, but again, you can self
yeah,
set that trick room. You're pretty bulky, so as long as you're not eating an ice move, you can pretty much eat a hit. And no, it's good. I mean, tier 4, just good value.
yeah. I think this is a maybe.
I,
Or
I'll put it next to Durant.
maybe an
It's like Beware
maybe an
Durant.
F.
Yeah, we'll put him
We'll
here.
put it in. We'll put it in F. Yeah. Embor is. I kind of see value in Embor
Embor
as a like.
is the
Have it. Obviously, you've got like a physical attacker that can't be burnt is always good. There's always a plus on it.
he's one of the. I mean,
You've got flame charge.
he can be a mix attacker because you have 100 special attack and good tech to always know. One of the few fire types that get Scald. So you can do some funny things. And again, reckless flare blitz and wild charges just destroy teams. And you can do reckless head
Absolutely.
smash. Like Embor is the best wall breaker besides like in the lower tiers. Embor and Tyrantrum are the two best wall breakers.
Again, yeah, you got multiple sets on this Pokemon, which obviously is a plus for this format. But yeah, those reckless hits, Flare Blitz, and you got close combat on this?
I think
No,
no. Damn, so he gets
no.
superpower. That okay? That is a
That
little unlooker.
yeah, that's why it's not quite at the top of the pack. But you got a half decent amount of bulk.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, yeah, this is kind of like I think this is quite easy to overlook this Pokemon,
yeah, it's
but it
also like
does
one of
have
the
it does have
starters
some
that,
value.
yeah, I think, I think it's like Durant eggy territory. It's like an
Yeah.
but I value it pretty highly personally. I think it's very good.
Yeah, so then the two Enamorous forms.
I am
Um,
very surprised that both of them did not get drafted last season.
I think so. I think if any of them are gonna get drafted, it's gonna be the Incarnate form.
Really?
Yeah, you got contrary superpower.
I think the Therian form diffs the incarnate form.
Let's have a look at this. So you got Overcoat.
Okay,
That's good. Yeah.
abilities
So
not the best on the Therian, but let's look at it. You have the
so
same attack
they both
stats, which is good,
yeah,
but you trade out like obviously the 106 speed tier is very good, but with Therian, like it is so
you get a lot of
bulky
bulk.
that you can do a Iron Defense Calm Mind set with Draining Kiss and then like I don't know, whatever your fourth move wants to be, but probably like Moonblast. But
Yeah.
the Therian form is just
You got oh
so
you know you got
bulky.
Springtide Storm.
Yeah, but why are you ever
Oh, it's only
clicking? Yeah, you're clicking Moonblast every time. This
80.
move sucks.
Yeah, I didn't see the accuracy on that.
Yeah.
Um,
But I saw Tanner use this in I forget what league it was, but he used it in the league, and he was just bringing this thing like Specs every week, and Specs Moonblast was just killing everything. I mean, this thing is
has a
just
lot of
insane.
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both of these are quite likely to go.
Oh, absolutely, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, I think you can do a lot more with offensively with the kind of contrary. There's a few more bits you can do with the incarnate form, but yeah, you can't deny the bulk on that theory and form.
In my opinion, these are both will be drafted.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, one of the Hisuian like a lot of the new mons that didn't get drafted in season 3, they're gonna be like top of the priority list going into season 4. Like everyone just still wants to use the new things. Yeah. So
So
Espeon,
Espeon,
this is like Espeon is like you don't feel like drafting Hatterene in tier 2, so you're like, let me get Espeon. But you know, Espeon still just a good mon. I mean, Tanner drafted it last season, but he dropped it in the in the grace period, so it didn't count. But
okay, yeah, fair enough.
the Espeon is good. I mean,
I mean, look at that. You got 110 speed, 130 special attack. You're gonna get some value out of this,
and again,
especially in
because of
tier
magic
three.
bounce, it forces your opponents to not want to bring hazards against you, which that is always a good thing. So it can never be bad.
100%.
So I would say this is probably like top of maybe with like Diggersby and Crawdon in them.
Yeah, and you've got stuff like all the evolutions get wish,
Yeah.
which is always good. It's great calm mind Pokemon. You got draining kiss.
Yeah, that's the big one is that all the evolutions this generation got Trailblaze and Calm Mind. And Espeon and Umbreon appreciate Calm Mind the most. So, yeah, I think Espeon really, really can do some things. I think Espeon is really good.
Yeah, Exploud.
My opinion, this thing should be drafted every season. This thing is insane. Absolutely insane Pokemon. I mean, you look at I guess the big reason you don't draft it anymore is because of toxicity, and especially with Terra, you can like just Terra normal toxicity, and you're just better Xcloud, which I get. But
Oh yeah,
Scrappy, Scrappy
Boomburst.
Boomburst is,
Scrappy Stab Boomburst.
and you can Terra
Hitting
normal
everything.
again to get double stab, adaptability, like literally there is no switch-ins because oh you want to bring in your steel type, well guess what, because I'm a normal type I get every move in the game and I'm clicking fire blast. Like his coverage is crazy. Whatever doesn't like the steel and rock types that want to come in on your boom burst, you click hydro pump or fire blast and then they die anyway, so it's like Xcloud is an insane Pokemon in tier 3. I think it's very good. I think this is likely to go.
Yeah, I think someone needs to pick this up and start using it. Get that Terra Normal on. Like we saw Neuven do Terra Normal this season.
Yeah, we saw two
We
Pokemon
saw
with Terra Normal this
we
season. We
saw
saw Palafin and Noivern,
Palafin.
and what
Yeah,
just
but
Boom
you
Burst
get
is the most broken move in Pokemon. It just is.
yeah, but you get a Pokemon that is generally a normal type, but Terra on top of that.
Yeah.
We need to see it happen. Someone make it happen.
Like okay, I gotta put the damage calc just to show y'all a little something. I mean, I get Xploud in here, and you that loud. Okay, this is let's do modest. Let's do modest. Modest specs Boom Burst. Let's do Chansey. Okay. To violate Chansey, if you are Terra Normal Boom Burst, you do 35 to 42 to a Chansey. Let's do something else. Let's do a Toxapex. You change to Oko a defensive
Oh my
Toxapex.
god.
Like, X-Cloud is a fucking insane Pokemon. Yeah, enough said. This thing should go every season, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. So Tapu Fini,
Yeah, so the funny thing is Coco is the only Tapu that has ever been drafted. All the other, obviously Lele just got unbanned this season. We'll get to that. But
yeah.
Feeny and Bulu
That's
haven't been drafted either. And I
I
find
mean
that
that makes
interesting.
sense in the sense that electric terrain now has the effect of all the quark drive Pokemon
Yeah.
benefiting from it. Great. I'm really surprised out of all the ones that have stayed unbanned, I'm really surprised that Tapu Fini hasn't been taken up. You know, you want a really good bulky water type, you want a good fairy type. Here you go.
Yeah. It again, there's only a few bulky waters that get defog. I'm looking at Mantine and Polion and then uh Finny. Uh Misty Terrain, really good.
Yeah,
Having the power.
I've seen Noah in another league run like whirlpool sets with this
Yeah, Whirlpool Toxic.
Pokemon.
I mean, what's it called? You
Like,
because you're a Tapu, you get the Ruination thing where you just half health all Pokemon with Nature's Madness. Um, and then what else? You because of Misty Terrain, you have the power of Dragon moves, which nerfing dragons is always a good thing. And then
absolutely. You got Stab Draining Kiss.
Stab, Draining Kiss, and Moonblast. And you don't get recovery, which is the big issue. But you're so bulky, you're gonna be living a lot of hits, so you can get easy leftover recovery.
You'll be
And
running leftovers. You're gonna be draining
boots,
kissing people back,
yeah, like
and
Feeny.
look at that
This
bulk you've
should
got.
be drafted. Just it should be drafted. So I'll put in will be this thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Flamigo. So this is another scrappy Pokemon. We were just talking about how busted that can be.
And especially on a
But
fighting
what
type,
move?
that's just good.
Yeah, with that stat, you
It's
got
one of the
close
few
combat.
Pokemon that can beat the Golden Joes and Aegislashes. But yeah,
Yeah,
You get
absolutely.
CC, you get Brave Bird, U-turn. I mean, you're probably bringing the same moves every time, like Brave Bird, close combat, U-turn, and then like coverage move. But it's one of those Pokemon where it can afford to be predictable because it's just so good at what it does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you've got acrobatics.
Yeah, and especially since we allow all items, you can do that Flying Gem Acrobatics tech. Um, you can set up an agility if you need to, or a Sword Stance. It's always good.
Yeah, you can U-turn out afterwards.
And I believe, yeah, Flamigo's tier 3. So, I mean, it's just good stats all around. I mean, I think this is likely to go.
Yeah, it's kind of mid tier. I think someone will definitely get some use out of this.
You want to put it maybe or likely to go?
I think I think if it was tier 4, it'd be very likely. Like what it doesn't have, it's still only 90 speed tier. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's all right, but it's not. So I personally in tier 3, I'm thinking more of a maybe.
Alright, we'll put him next to Bombardier. We'll put him next to his fellow bird.
I think that's about right. Frostlass got a 110 Ice Ghost.
Now, I thought about getting Frostlass when I dropped Gengar last season. However, Frostlass in tier 2 is the worst Pokemon ever. However, in tier 4, I think this Pokemon has a lot of value. Um, because your stats are so shit, you can be a mixed attacker because both your attack stats are base 80. So you can, but typically, because of Gen 8, you get Poltergeist and Triple Axle. So you get really good stabs, You're a great utility mon. I mean, you get like everything in the game. You get like Switcheroo, Taunt, Thunderwave, Trick, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp,
Spikes.
Destiny Bond, Spikes. Like, you can lead Frostlass to almost any game, and it's going to get value.
Yeah, you do spikes, focus sash, destiny bond. You got that 110 speed. I think with the right build around it, you're definitely gonna get something out of this Pokemon, especially in that tier.
Yeah, tier 4, I mean, it's the lower tiers, but in tier 4, I think it definitely. I think it's a maybe. I don't think it's likely to go, but I think it's a maybe. I think it. I
Yeah,
think it has its
definitely.
place. I would say this is probably around like the Braviaries. I'd say.
Yeah, maybe below.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Right,
Yeah,
Gigalith.
Gigalith. So we've got a Sand Setter. Obviously, there's only so many of those. Uh, you've got the 135 attack, the 130 defense, pure rock type.
So in my opinion, the really the only reason why Hippowdon is so much better than Gigalith is because of Slack Off. If Gigalith had recovery besides rest, this thing would be insane. Because
It
it's a
would
rock,
be amazing.
because it's a rock type, it gets that special defense boost in the sand. So you can run an assault vest set. You can run a Custap sturdy with explosion. Um, but this Pokemon is just good. Like it's just solid. It will always to kill it in one hit is pretty much impossible unless something is super set up. So you're
Yeah,
guaranteed rocks because you're sturdy. Well, I guess you'd be sandstream some games too, but um, just
yeah. I mean, I think if you want a Sand Setter, like for a tier 3, I mean, Hippowdon's fantastic because it's a great ground type.
that's tier two.
Um, but
So
there's definitely value in picking Gigalith as your Sunsetter and getting another ground type as well.
right, right, and especially
Um,
since the big sand sweeper being Exidro. By getting Gigalith, you give yourself a typing that you don't have already. But if you get hit Pound you're doubling up on ground. So it gives
yeah,
you.
exactly. It's like if you want, obviously there's the classic T-Tar Excadrill combo, and someone might draft that. I've seen Noah draft that and done amazing. But if you want something else at the top tier as well, go Gigalith Excadrill.
Yeah, because I mean, you're still weak to fighting like T-Tar drill, but you're not as weak because T-Tar's 4 times weak. So I think Gigalith is a good maybe. I think it's like around Dracovish territory.
Yeah, Gligar.
This this is a weird guy because I think in tier Z, tier three,
Let's have
yeah,
a
he's
look.
tier three. Um, yeah, because we moved Gliscor down to tier two, so we moved Gligar down to tier three. I think in tier
Yeah,
three, it's good. The issue obviously being it's an Violate mon, so
yeah. You have to really dodge the knockoffs, which are quite common in this format. But you've got the stealth rock, you've got the U-turn. If you got roost, you got roost
you're essentially
covering.
you don't get
You do
do
it.
you get spikes? Okay, so you don't get
Um,
spikes, which is a big downgrade from
you
the Gliscor,
yes,
but you get everything
you
else.
do. You do about 80 or 90% of what Gliscor does. For lower value, what you don't get is the poison heal.
You get
You don't get
immunity,
the
which is still
spike.
good. Obviously poison heal's better, but the fact that you can immune toxic as a wall is always good.
Yeah, and you're just a little more vulnerable to knock off. Gliscor, I think what makes it not only are you saving a leftover spot for another Pokemon, but once you get that poison up, they can knock that toxic orb off all they want. You've
Yeah,
got that poison now.
yeah, the item doesn't matter anymore. So I think Gligar is I think it's a maybe. I think it's
It's a top of maybe.
yeah. I would put it around like Crawdon. I think
Yeah,
it's definitely a good shout, but Gligar is the oh shit Gliscor got sniped, so I need Gligar now button. That's what he is.
Yeah, definitely. So now we got the
my boy,
namesake here,
my boy Grafai. I mean,
the west side.
the boy Grafai. I mean, Prankster. It has three just really good abilities, but unfortunately, its stats are just has little to no bulk, but has a good speed tier, has good attack stats. Um, gets honestly, Sing is
You
good.
got the prankster
Prankster Parting Shot,
is gonna be
Prankster Switcheroo, Prankster Taunt. It's just
toxic, and you just kind of wish it had a little more of something else and a
I
little
if
more
this
bulk.
Pokemon
Oh,
got Toxic Spikes, it would have gotten drafted last season. But
prankster toxic spikes. Oh no.
yeah, but unfortunately, the
Yeah,
Pokemon Company has done me dirty.
you've got Encore on there. I think, yeah, if you want a prankster Pokemon, where is it? Tier 3. It's right next to Grimmsnarl. So
Yeah,
if
you're
Grimmsnarl's
always getting
on,
Grim.
then
You're always
yeah.
getting Grim.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are gonna look at Grimmsnarl. So this could be your backup pick for that. Um,
Yeah,
if you're not gonna look at, I don't know, Sableye, as we saw how that did last season.
yeah.
Um,
The big issue for me with Grafai is with something like Sableye, you get access to Will-O-Wisp and Thunderwave. With Grafai, it's more of like a Whimsicott prankster user with like Encore and stuff and like Parting Shot. But it's like it's like Whimsicott and Grimmsnarl because it gets Encore and Parting Shot, but it doesn't get the screens that Grimmsnarl gets, and it doesn't get the Tailwind that Whimsicott gets. So it's in like this weird territory of like anti setup, but also like it's weird. It's a weird mod.
yeah, and it's annoying because its best stat is the 110 speed, and that doesn't particularly matter when
Your
you're using a
pranks.
lot of prankster moves.
Yeah.
So I think this is it. It's probably like a low maybe.
I would say it's a
There's
low maybe to an
definitely
eh.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason to pick it up, but you're not looking at it before other prankster users.
Yeah. I'll put it top of eh.
I rate that, yeah.
Alright, Greninja. Um this will be
See, that is
drafted.
surprising.
This will be drafted. I mean, yeah. I mean, Gren after seeing after seeing Cinderace and Meowscarada last season, they did very well, but they're not broken by any means, even though they have their protein. Gren just is Gren is just Gren. I mean, Gren will always do what Gren does. It's
Yeah,
literally
I'm
it's like
really
Meowscarada. It gets toxic spikes, you turn in spikes, but Gren is the goat. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
just that yeah, that water dark typing again, I'm a huge fan of that. And yeah, I'm surprised no one in 3 seasons has taken this at least once.
Well, the
So
first two seasons, we didn't have protein in Libero allowed on Greninja, so it was tier 3. But even then, like normal Gren in tier 3, that's a crazy pickup. And then obviously last season didn't get picked up either, but like it has Swords Dance and its physical attack is good, so you can catch people off guard and do like a Swords Dance at some weeks. It's a great lead. It's a great sweeper. It's a great cleanup killer because of Water Shuriken. I mean, there's Gren will always stand as just one of the best special attackers in the game.
absolutely. Um yeah, someone is definitely gonna pick this up.
For sure.
Uh,
Hatterene. Um, Personally, I think this thing should be drafted every season.
like for such a like a lot of people focus on hazards and stealth rock, and with good reason too. So with magic bounce, it's just such a good value Pokemon. I think this is quite likely to go.
I think it's top of
This
likely slash bottom of will be drafted.
Like we were just talking about Espeon with Magic Bounce.
This is the better Espeon
Uh,
because you can draining. You're very bulky. You can fire off some draining kisses, and you can also
you got
nuzzle.
you got a Nozzle, Mystical Fire. You can Trick Room, and you got 136 special attack. You
That's
put Trick Room on this, and you're doing a
exactly.
lot of damage. You got Giga Drain, Draining Kiss.
It can be a Calm Minder. You can cleric and aromatherapy, like healing with like this thing does everything. And in tier two,
This is gonna
that is
be
insane value.
it's gonna be very hard to take this Pokemon down. So yeah, this has got to go.
Yeah, this will be
So
drafted. This it has to be drafted. There's no way.
Holucha,
This
Unburden.
this little guy, Unburdened Mold Breaker, two of the best abilities in the game. Um, and again,
Decent typing, like Flamigo typing.
yeah, it gets a signature move in Sky Attack, which is a two. It's the only move in the game that's dual stab. It's a fighting and a flying move, so that's cool. Um, or is it Sky Attack or I forget what it is. I think it's Sky Attack. I could be wrong though.
You got Sky Attack, Sky Drop.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you get Sky Attack. Yeah, high crit on a 140 base power.
yeah. I mean, the big thing with Hawlucha is obviously the Swords Dance with Unburden or with like White Herb Close Combat. I mean, the issue with Hawlucha is you need that Swords Dance to do damage because 92 base attack is a little low. But once you get that Swords Dance off, um, it can be
Yeah,
game.
there's a lot.
And also with
No,
Hawlucha, it's one of those
absolutely. You've got
mons
you.
where you can pair it with a Tapu, get that berry with it, or that seed with it, I should say, and then you instantly are ready to go off the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we've seen how good the Tapus can be with Coco in this last season. And just terrain. I think terrain is going to become, especially with Lele coming back, uh, and just everyone knowing how good Quark Drive is and photosynthesis, slowly going to become terrain wars.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously with Hawlucha, you don't want it to be this, but it can be a defogger. You're a flying type that's not weak to rocks because you're fighting typing, so I think Hawlucha is likely to go. I would say it's around like Aegislash territory. It's a very moldable Pokemon, and it can do a lot of things very well.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. So Haxorus
This never being drafted, little crazy. Little crazy.
it is insane. This Pokemon is fantastic. I've seen who is it? I think it was Envy did like a Chinese EV spread with this, and it was like Terra
All
Electric.
right, well, I keep hearing that. What does the Chinese EV spread mean, bro?
Is I can't explain it because he doesn't really explain it. There's you watch Lord Envy, and he does it's basically when you EV for like very specific
Okay,
things.
okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
I don't know why it's been called that, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, but again, it's one of
Um,
those Pokemon where you can either Dragon Dance or you can Swords Dance, and no matter what boost you get, if you get one of them up, it's pretty much game because you're
yeah,
Mold
you got
Breaker
that.
with Earthquake, so the Levitators, it don't matter.
This thing gets first impression. I mean, you're probably not gonna
I mean, hey, if you want to bring
bring
a
that, but
bandit set, like, you can do it.
that's yeah, priority on 147 attack.
Don't let them tear a bug on you.
Imagine that. Uh,
I think Haxorus is top of likely to go with like Deoxys defense. I think this thing is crazy.
yeah,
In tier two,
it,
just insane value.
this guy's power, its coverage, it's just absolutely gonna go at some point.
Hmm.
Heracross hasn't gone, so we've had the Mega Heracross, but we've not had the OG.
Yeah, Heracross. He does three things very well: Scarf, Band, and Guts. Um, I personally like the. It's Guts and Band are equal for me, but the set I like running the most is the banded set with Sleep Talk. If you're running into like a sport team, because they put you to sleep, they think you're done. You sleep talk on them, you mega horn on them. But
Oh yeah, that's
Heracross, Heracross is just one of the best wall breakers. We talked about it a little bit earlier with the Slitherwing and Buzzwole debate, but Heracross, like, unlike the other two that have like one ability and they're both decent, this has two amazing abilities that it can use both very well. Um, as offensively has good coverage, has knockoff. Trailblaze I didn't even know, but Sing is just good. And in tier two, it's a solid mon. Um, I
yeah.
think
You could
it's
definitely
I think it's like a
you could do
top
like
of
a scarf.
maybe mid likely to go.
Yeah, you could do like a scarf Moxie set
Hmm.
and just sort of steamroll your opponent if you're quite lucky. But yeah, I think you're right with that.
Yeah, I'll put very top of maybe, but that's being extremely disrespectful. I think this is it's tough. It's tough, but it's in this area for sure.
Yeah, so then we got Hippowdon. So we were talking about this earlier with Gigalith. Um, and yeah, so you get slack off on this Pokemon, which is kind of the big
That would be
selling
the
point
big
of
one.
this over something like Gigalith. You've got the ground typing, so you don't get the special defense boost, but ground is just a fantastic type. You should always have a good ground type,
This
and this is
thing will
definitely one
get
of
rocks
those.
up, and it will whirlwind toxic your whole team.
Absolutely, and
Hippowdon's just that guy.
I suppose kind of like what Ting Lu does.
Yeah, this is Ting.
Like,
This is
but
the Ting Lu at home.
this is Ting Lu with recovery.
That is true. That is true. I think this is like I think this is around like Aegislash as elf territory of likely to go.
Yeah, I think kind of in the middle. Like, do you want a rock type or ground type? If you want to set your sand, if you want the ground type, then Hippowdon is just it's just the way to go.
Yeah.
Um, Hitmonlee,
This guy is good. Get rapid spin, get unburden, um tier 4, good value. The Hitmons have been very looked at in this league especially. I think this is a good maybe. Maybe like a bottom of likely to go. I think this is probably more around
I
like a
think so.
Flamigo
Yeah,
territory.
it's good. You've got priority. You've got bullet punch.
You get
You've got
Mach
Mach
Punch on this.
punch as
Oh, you do?
well.
Okay.
Yeah, you get Mach punch and bullet punch.
Yeah, and I mean,
This is great Pokemon to have in tier 4. You still need that fighting type.
I'll put around the Flamigo and Bombardier. I think it's a good mon.
Yeah.
Alright, this we know where this is going. This is going right next to Kieran B. Hoopa Unbound.
Hoopa
I mean,
Unbound.
only caveat is you can't tear it, so it has to keep that shitty ass typing. But it don't matter when you
Yeah,
got
so
170 attack and 160 special attack.
yeah, that's ridiculous. So obviously the base 80 speed and the 4 times weakness is kind of where it suffers a little bit. But just look at those stats. You can scarf this, you could band it, you could specs it, you could mixed attack it. You could do anything you want with this Pokemon, and you'll rip a hole in your opponent.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if this
think
thing doesn't go, I don't care if it goes round 2 or round 3. If this thing doesn't go round 1, someone has made a mistake.
Absolutely, yeah. Is the other Hooper
So this one is
in?
Psychic Dark. This one's Psychic Ghost.
Yes, I didn't realize we had the other Hooper in here as well.
Yeah. So I get okay. Hoopa Unbound. Not much else to say. Normal Hoopa. I'll be personally honest. I've been looking at it almost every season. Um, because look at it. It's tier 3. Again, gets Magician, so great ability. And it like Hoopa Unbound. It's like a baby Hoopa Unbound, except it's tier 3, and you're
Yeah, you
quad weak to Ghost, which kind of sucks. But with Terra,
and quad weak to dark.
yeah. But with
Yeah,
Terra,
psychic ghost is not a good type.
but listen, with Terra, you Terra Dark, and you turn your 2 quad weaknesses into resistances, and kind of go to town.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That 150 special attack, 130 special defense. You see a lot of special attackers with the sort of psychic fairy ghost type in with those kind of stats.
Yeah.
Like Tapu Lele comes to mind. This could be Tapu Lele at home.
Oh
Uh,
my god.
with the right terror type, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll put it. I'll put it like next to Espeon. I think it has a lot of
Yeah.
potential, but 70 speed is probably the worst speed in the game. Probably.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's like you're kind of fast. You're not fast enough that you actually can outspeed stuff, and it's going to be worth scarfing.
it's not
But
slow enough to where you can trick room it, because there's slower things.
yeah, only value is you're going to outspeed the kind of I don't know base 60s. But
Yeah. Alright, Inteleon. We keep saying this is X at home, but this is quite literally Greninja at home. Um,
yeah,
in
absolutely.
in
I
tier
mean, it's a good analogy when we're talking about tiers and low tier value. It's good to sort of acknowledge what Pokemon can be like if you use it right.
and
Because
listen,
if something gets sniped, then that's what you want.
yeah, and I mean listen, Sniper is a cheese ability, Scope Lens cheese ability, but listen, when you get that snipe shot, when you get set up with Inteleon, you know you need to get the focus energy off, but if you do, and you just start snipe shotting things, you are going to lose. Inteleon is a crazy threat. I think it is like I think it's around Brute Bonnet tier. Honestly, I think it's very
It's
likely to
quite
go.
yeah. I think the only reason someone wouldn't pick it, I think a lot of times when you're looking at water types, you're usually looking at trying to get something a bit bulkier,
Yeah,
but you can't deny that's a great speed tier, great special attack, the ability in snipe shot.
you
It's
can
gonna do
U-turn
some
out. Like it's just good.
yeah, definitely.
All right, Iron
Okay,
Hands.
Iron Hands.
Now this is we moved it down to tier 2, and I think in tier 2 it's a lot more approachable. I think it's like I think it's around like Celesteela Darmanitan tier. I think it's likely to go, but this thing is just very very hard to kill.
I think this is very likely to go.
Yeah, especially in tier 2.
Yeah, something that bulky with 140 base attack. It kind of reminds, yeah, it's kind of same league as maybe like Conkelder with the sort of, that kind of bulky, heavy physical attack. Obviously, you've not got the guts, but you've got the electric type. You've got good move pool here.
Yeah,
Got
you can
Drain
Iron Defense,
Punch.
Body Press, Drain Punch.
You've
If you're
got
in
the
Electric
slow.
Terrain, you can Thunder Punch because Wild Charge is terrible. You're never running Wild Charge, but Thunder
Yeah,
Punch
you've
is
got the
good.
slow. You got the slow Vault Switch, which is always valuable. Bring in something nice and safe.
Oh yeah, and you get Ice Punch, right?
I think you get the elemental punches. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
fire,
So you can touch the
ice.
grass and you can touch the grass and ground types that want to come in on you. So I think Iron Hands is great value, especially in tier 2. Um,
Yeah. So now we got a few more iron Pokemon.
Iron
So
leaves
iron,
this. I think just because it is quote unquote new, I think it will be drafted. I think it's a Terra Captain. This one is crazy. obviously you want it in the electric terrain, but it can function in every single terrain. Misty terrain probably the
Yeah,
worst, but grassy and psychic it does very well. Um, yeah, I think Iron Leaves
yeah,
will be drafted.
absolutely. You've got yeah, just the move pool is great. You put a terror on this to get rid of that grass psychic typing. With that speed tier, the 130 attack, I'm really happy they've done. Like I like Virizion. I think it's a decent low tier value Pokemon. Obviously, it could be a little more powerful, but good speed tier, decent enough moves. This is everything I would want Virizion to be, except the typing, which we can fix in this gen with Terra. So
Yeah. And
someone is
fun fact,
definitely taking
Virizion is
this.
also on this list. It's right there. It also was
I yeah,
drafted.
I've just seen it.
Yeah. So Iron Thorns got drafted by Noah, but he never brought it to a game, so we're not counting it.
No, so yeah, it got swapped out.
This
And
is
yeah, I
this is eh. This is next to Durant.
you never you're never choosing this over something like Tyranitar.
You're never choosing this over any electric or rock type in the game. I would draft fucking Dwebble before this thing. Okay. Okay. Well, all right. We're skipping Iron Thorns. Okay.
Yeah,
Kartana, top of likely to
Katana.
go. I mean, it has the highest base attack set in Pokemon. Grass Steel is a really good typing. Especially you are paper for a reason, but physically you're actually extremely bulky. Um, if you
Yes,
get one
those
beast boost off, it is pretty much game.
yeah, nothing tops after a beast boost. Nothing comes close to getting rid of this. Nothing takes a hit.
No.
Um, so so then this next Pokemon is technically one that has been drafted because you've it will
Yeah.
be drafted. So
Yeah.
you want to talk us through this one?
Yeah. I mean, King Gambit. I mean, this guy is crazy. So I mean, Nat Dex format, right? So obviously Scarlet and Violet has a little bit more limited of a move pool, but because it's an evolution to Bisharp, it doesn't matter that it's a Gen 9 Mon. It gets Pursuit, it gets Knockoff. You still have Kowtow Cleave. This Pokemon is insane. Yes, you're quad weak to fighting, but I don't care, okay? Let me show you something. If you're max attack adamant and then your max HP, your attack stat and your HP stat are the same fucking number. And this Pokemon is insane. Supreme Overlord. We got rid of Last Respects this season, but this is essentially Last Respects at home. Um, Defiant. If you want to get rid of the hazards I set up, you could potentially give me a Sword Stance if I'm not Supreme Overlord. Pressure you're probably never using, but these two abilities I will be using a lot. I will switch them up every week. King
I
Gambit.
absolutely switch it. Are you thinking of you don't have to answer this, but are you thinking of using Terra on King Gambit,
He
or is that
definitely
something we're gonna have to wait to find out?
definitely benefits from Terra, but the
Yeah,
champ will keep that in the back pocket for now. The champ will
that's
keep it in
fair
the
enough.
back.
Okay, so on that note, just because I feel like this video is getting a bit long, shall we call this a part one?
Yeah, we'll
As it's also getting very late in English time.
yeah, I just clicked on the
And
recording. It's we're 2 hours in, so yeah, we'll call this
we're
a
about
part
halfway
one.
through, so we'll come back to this with a
Yeah,
part two. We've got lots of great Pokemon to talk about looking at this list.
yeah,
Um, but I think that's a good point to leave it there.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
this has been fun.
yeah, definitely a lot of Pokemon to go still. We haven't even gotten to the megas yet, but for what we've gotten through so far, I feel like it's pretty accurate and predictable of like what we can expect for next season. And yeah,
Yeah, so those top ones definitely in the first one or two rounds, gonna see most, if not all of them going.
for sure. Yeah,
Uh,
anything in Lakewood going up, I would I can see all these going pretty easily next season.
yeah, and you know, every season this list is gonna get slightly smaller.
Right.
You would hope.
Yeah, I mean with 20 teams, surely everything in this tier at least gets drafted.
Yeah, so did you agree with everything we said here? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you for part 2.
Yeah, we'll see y'all later. Goodbye.